still learning my buttons, apparently. Welcome to special city council meeting on Monday, August 25th. Starting at 6:01. Everybody's present and accounted for. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Looks like we don't have any citizen comments.
No, we do not.
Okay, so we will move on to 4, approvals and authorizations. The following items are for discussion, consideration, and action. 4A is fiscal year 2026 proposed budget for the city of Garden Ridge. We'll have our city manager review. I've got it down as review and then public hearing. So, let's do review first.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The FY26 proposed budget. The item before tonight is a key part of that process. I want to thank you, Mayor and Council, for your continued leadership and participation. Our goal throughout this process has been to maintain transparency, provide detailed information, and ensure collaborative approach with thorough information as we go through this process. Again, special thank you to Robin, her ongoing involvement, diligence, in the preparation of this budget, especially this presentation as well. Thank you. Let's see. Might help by turning it on, sorry. Okay. That's how simple on and off is. Thank you, Cindy. Here, as we've shown in previous presentations and our meetings, the development schedule. We are here. Right now, it's for reviewing again the budget and then taking action later after the public hearing. Next week, we will move toward a formal adoption. This includes a tax rate public hearing, the adoption of the tax rate, and a vote to ratify the budget via ordinance on both of those. Slide 3, we've talked about these before. I'll just give a quick overview as far as public hearing, that this functions as a policy document, financial plan, operation guide, and communication tool for the city. It's a foundation for how resources are allocated, delivered through services, provide quality outcomes, support targeted investments, and foster continuous improvement. The annual budget incorporates incremental changes based on current service needs, continues initiatives funded in previous years, and sets the stage for new programmatic directions. Additionally, it serves as a tool to evaluate the effectiveness of city services while offering transparency into municipal operations. Starts October 1st and September 30th. Budget development process collaborative, includes input from you all as City Council, our city departments, and any outside agencies if necessary. Just real quick on the core principles, I like to call it. It's a balanced budget, fund balance at 10 months, reasonable revenue projections based on historical data, conservative, realistic approach for expenditures, adequate funding for employee salaries, benefits, including a 3% cost of living, use of assigned fund balance for emergencies, capital improvements, or one-time expenditures. This is the original, what I'm calling the original general fund overview as filed as of August 1st. What it shows is what I had presented before, the revenues, expenditures, and then the shortage covered by the reserve. At this time, all was capital. This is the revision. As you can see, the revenue went up, expenditures went up. The capital actually reduced from $1,009,000 to $996,000, with $854,726 as a transfer, and still a 10-month operation. Any questions so far on the revision? So as I go through this updated overview of the general fund reflects revisions made following a detailed review of expenditures and revenues. In my experience, after a budget is filed, there's always value in sharpening the pencil, as I like to call it, revisiting line items and reallocating resources to meet unmet needs. In this case, we re-examined various department budgets to program in addition to the full-time police officer, which the previous slide here incorporates. Going back, this is the overview. Again, total revenue, the positive side, $37,000. That's set by the tax rate of the property tax that you all have selected, which increases the ad valorem collection by $37,000. Total expenditure is a positive $61,000, which I'll show on the next slide a breakdown. And then again, the transfer went up $830,864 to $854,726 to include the full-time police officer. The highlights: the patrol officer was looking at $98,117 when we started this process, as well as including adjustments to existing positions in the municipal court and library. These are all programmed in the revised general fund. 3% COLA, a slight increase for the health plan, programming the code enforcement officer, $32,000 part-time, 7% pay increase for public works representatives that include 4 positions, funding for certifications and licenses in public works, and then $996,000 programmed for capital projects, originally $1,009,000. This slide right here, this is sort of the breakdown we used to examine where the original budget line item was in various departments: admin, court, police, public works, library, and then capital. As a result of this, Chief indicated that as a result of adding this officer would reduce overtime, so which in the line item you could see a reduction by $10,409, and then you could see the salary and benefits per line item that's now budgeted, programmed in with the additional patrol officer position. We looked at the public works, building facility maintenance, vehicle equipment rental, and looked to see if where we could kind of reduce there based on historical. And then these areas in the library, we were able just to minimize a bit. Again, if necessary, if one of these line items we ever have to, because we are halfway through the budget year and they're really needed, we can always do an amendment. And then under capital, it was first costed out $48,000 for the boom lift towable. That's down to $35,000 as far as another revisit of that. So if you look at the bottom there, net increase to the general fund, $23,861. Increase to revenue, $37,000. Expense, $61,000. This allows us to add the additional police officer position. Any questions on the breakdown there? And let me just point out, as I indicated this detailed breakdown, I wanted to make sure council's aware moving forward that we must maintain a high level of fiscal discipline. In speaking with our directors and staff, we'll be expected to actively monitor their budgets on a monthly basis to ensure expenditures stay on track. minimizing the need for mid-year or multiple budget amendments. So we want our department directors and staff to become budget analysts, to look closely at it. So eventually we're looking at 3+3, 3+6, 3+9 to make sure we're on track of our spending throughout the year. The water fund, this is the same. Nothing had changed as far as the proposed water fund budget overview. Again, the $3,155,000 is balanced revenue expenditures, similar staffing changes in funding, and then the 7% pay increase for utility operators, 3 positions. And then the capital, it's for the renovation of the former Public Works building for water utilities, and then the ground storage rehab tank at $240,000. Again, this is the overview here, revenue versus expenditure, the breakdown to a 6-month reserve for the water fund. This is the payroll overview for general fund and water, and then we've highlighted all the funding requests that we've been able to program into this budget. And again, the unfunded is maybe at some point down the road we take a look at the contribution from TMRS if funds are available. So these are the changes through the departments here, both the budget and then the variance that have changed. And just a reminder, this includes the additional police officer. And then I've shown this before, interest and sinking, our fund budget overview. At the end, and just a breakdown of our debt structure and what our obligations are for paying back our debt between each of the certified obligations and series each year. One of the things I like to do is either talk to our financial advisors or meet with some other financial advisors to start looking at our debt structure, to seeing how we could kind of look to either pay it off quicker or kind of find a way to do some reevaluation of the debt to bring down that structure. So, capital funds, same thing I showed last time. Here's the revenues, and then just the breakdown from water to street impact there. And then right here is just current unfunded requests in the general fund. Again, the chief had made a request for the parking lot covers, which we'll try to take a look at throughout the year and examine if there's some savings in his department or we find some matching funds. We can try to get that done. And then ultimately the goal is to have a strategic plan workshop facilitator. That's not in there, but we did provide additional dollars in the line item for mayor, council, travel, training, education. So we'll reevaluate that after TML and then look at how we can absorb possibly that $2,500 into having that strategic plan workshop, because I think it's important that we do have this workshop at some point where we sit down and determine what our vision is, our goals, and that's going to drive next year's budget. Because next year when we start on this process, I'm hoping it's earlier, say May, June. We don't meet in July, and we start working towards adopting at the end of August. Current unfunded requests in water, the on-demand contractor, major utility repairs. If something does come up, we can always bring that forward to council, even on an emergency basis for your approval. And then right now, I think, talking to Stephen, that one of the chlorine bottle scales is fine right now, correct? So it's not needed to be incorporated at this time. Again, I like to show the dollar. Here's what you get, 35 cents for police being the largest chunk of your dollar. So, which went up a little bit now that we're adding a police officer. So, but it is public safety. So in summary, tonight we are requesting council action on the FY26 proposed budget, specifically revision 1 of the general fund, which includes the new police officer position. I would like to say this is a responsible and balanced budget. Importantly, we are only using reserves for capital expenditures and not adding to the city's existing debt structure. Pending council approval tonight, we will return on September 3rd to present the revised budget for final adoption by ordinance. Any questions, Mayor and Council?
Thank you, Ryan. That was very thorough, and thank you, Robin, for your work on this. Next, we hold a public hearing. So I'm opening the public hearing at 6:16. Marissa, do I have to keep it open for a certain amount of time?
No, you do not, and we do not have any written comments to be read. I was talking really slow to make sure we got to the next minute, but it doesn't actually matter.
Okay. All right, in that case, we will close the public hearing at 6:17. So 4.2, discuss and take action on the fiscal year 2026 proposed budget for the city of Garden Ridge. Council, discussion, comments, feedback? Okay. Got nothing? All right, so when we make a motion, we're going to ask you to take action on revision number 1 on the general fund as outlined by the city manager in the presentation that we just saw. So we're moving from the original to revision 1,
Which includes the additional police officer.
which includes the additional police officer. So can I get a motion? It would be to approve the fiscal year 2026 proposed budget for the city of Garden Ridge.
I
with-
move to approve the fiscal year 2026 proposed budget for the City Council of Garden Ridge to include the new police officer.
Is that enough?
Revision 1
Does she have to say revision 1?
of the general fund, revision 1 of the general fund.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any further discussion? Could take it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. So we are on to citizen comment period. I don't think we have any citizens to comment as well, so. That's, yes, he's a frequent attender. So in that case, we are on to 6, adjournment. There being no further business, the city council's special meeting is adjourned at 6:19 PM.